welcome to the program. I'm Joke Rogers. Today, we begin with rather disturbing news from Burkina Faso, where dozens of civilians have been killed over the weekend in the north of the country. Gunmen attacked a village overnight between Saturday and Sunday. So far, 79 bodies have been found in a village in the district of Setenga, northern Burkina Faso. The government has announced 3 days of national mourning starting today. Military leader Lieutenant Colonel Paul Henri Damiba issued the decree late on Monday for the mourning to be observed across the country. Celebrations and recreation centers are also prohibited for the period. In the meantime, the military are searching the area looking for the perpetrators, but their progress has been slowed down by explosive devices planted by suspected militant groups. Away from Burkina Faso, the Ghana Police Service has suspended 3 of its officers, including a regional commander, after Monday's clashes with students who were protesting outside their school. At least 20 students from Islamic Senior High School in Kumasi were taken to hospital with injuries after confrontation with the police. They were part of a group calling for speed bumps to be installed following a number of accidents. In a statement, the police said handling of the incident was poor and fell short of the standard operating procedure on crowd control. It added that officers had used pepper spray and fired warning shots after the students had pelted them with stones, but nobody was hit by a bullet. However, clinical psychologists have been sent to the school to offer support to the students. The Lagos State government has met only 50% of its minimum target in terms of blood needs. This is according to the State Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Bayomi, who made this comment at the symposium and scientific conference in commemoration of the 2022 World Blood Donor Day. Professor Bayomi says it's everyone's civic responsibility to ensure that Lagos State has enough blood in its bank to save lives.
Blood donation is seen as an act of solidarity by individuals who support the efforts to save lives.
I'm very happy donating blood. It's a painless experience, and I actually appreciate what Lagos State is doing, that we can donate blood. But going forward, I actually would like to donate maybe every 6 months or thereabouts, maybe like 3 times in a year, and I'll be very glad to do that for Lagos State and so many people who need it.
Health practitioners are concerned about the poor culture of blood donation, which they say has cost a lot of people their lives due to unavailability of blood at critical points of their treatment. In Nigeria, 80 to 90% of maternal mortality is as a result of bleeding complications made worse due to shortage of blood.
Blood donation.
Raising awareness for increased voluntary donation is the reason the Lagos State government is holding a symposium and scientific conference in commemoration of the 2022 World Blood Donor Day in GRA Ikeja on the benefits of blood donation. The State Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Bayomi, says Lagos is short of 100,000 units of blood, which must be addressed critically.
At the moment, our minimum target is 200,000 units of blood a year for Lagos State. And we've only managed to hit 50%, which means that there is a big gap. We are short of 100,000 units of blood in Lagos State. We have a blood donor bus. We have all kinds of activities. We've acquired new equipment. When we give you a blood transfusion, we're actually carrying out what we call an organ transplant. So the first thing we have to do is make sure that every blood unit that is in Lagos State is free of the opportunity to cause another problem in a patient.
Support for patients living with human immunodeficiency virus, HIV, is also echoed at this gathering.
Continuing transfusion support and patient blood management remains crucial in HIV treatment and control in Lagos State.
Voluntary blood donation is key to meeting the needs of 44% of demands for blood in Lagos. Everyone in good health has been charged to help save lives and build a sustainable and resilient national blood system.
Joining us on Network Africa is Dr. Anne Ogbena, Head of Department Hematology and Blood Transfusion, Lagos University Teaching Hospital. She joins us via Zoom. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Good evening.
Right, so let's start. Speak to us about the significance of the World Blood Donor Day.
Okay, the World Blood Donor Day is an activity we celebrate every year, and I think it started about 2004, and basically aimed at two things: to create awareness of the importance of blood donation, and secondly, to acknowledge those who have been donating blood and saving lives through blood donation. So those are basically the two significance of the World Blood Donor Day that we celebrate annually.
So who are those that can donate blood, and what are the criteria, to do that? Because we do know that sometimes there's a call for people to do so voluntarily, but it's not everyone that can.
Yes. So it's not really everyone that can donate blood. And when we talk about blood donation, we're talking about safety, both for the donor and the recipient. So some of the criteria we look at, it's to make sure that the blood donation is safe for the donor. And this includes the age. Normally we take people from between the ages of 18 and 65. And the upper limit is usually because of health challenges and things like that. And then we look at the body weight of the patient, and people who are less than 50 kg, we usually will not want them to donate. Then we'll talk about, in terms of safety to the donor, we'll look at high-risk behaviors. If a patient had had a recent ear piercing or a tattoo in the last 6 months, we usually want to defer that because of the risk of infections that we might not be able to pick up from our current testing procedure. We want to find out if they have been traveled to countries with high, in Nigeria, we don't mind malaria, but if I was in the States, for instance, and I traveled from Nigeria, I might likely not be eligible because I will be carrying most likely carrying the malaria parasite. So we also look at that. Then we look at health challenges that the donor might have. Maybe if the patient has a high blood pressure and is not well controlled, such a patient might not be able to donate. Those are the things we look at so that we ensure that a person that donates, that donation is safe. Then finally, we now look, do you have enough blood to give out? And we usually test for the level of blood that the donors have. For a female, if you have more than 12 grams per deciliter, and that's a good PCV. For males, we say about 13 grams per deciliter. So if you meet this criteria, then you are fit to donate, and we'll encourage you to donate.
Right, so Lagos State is continuing its campaign for people to donate blood because it says the state just does not have enough and people die because of this. You work in a federal establishment. I'm not sure if the state campaign covers youth, but what has been your experience when patients in Luth are in need of blood and there's probably not so much blood to give?
So one of the things we try to ensure that we do is we keep on going for voluntary drives to make sure that we have blood in anticipation for emergency. That's why we call it the blood bank. Just as we have banks where we save money for the time you need it, we have a bank where when we don't even need it, we go out to canvass for donors to donate blood, and we have that. That doesn't say that there are times where we have had shortage, and sometimes we also link up with Lagos State when we have an urgent need and we don't have that type of blood group. And if they do have that blood group, we often can liaise and provide that patient with blood for that purpose. So voluntary blood donation drives are a continuous thing that the Luth Blood Bank is engaged in, so that we, at any time try to ensure that we have enough blood in the bank. But as I said, when we don't meet that need, we usually can reach out to Lagos State, and if they do have, they provide for our patients. So
right.
There's also that relationship.
Yes, so I've, come across people with different experiences when it comes to blood groups. There are people, especially with the rhesus factor. You have people with A negative blood or O negative blood. Those are very rare blood types. How difficult is it to come across people giving that blood? And, when a patient is in dire need of such rare blood, how difficult is it to come across those blood types to give to patients?
Okay, yes, they are rarer, but we still have them. Just that in the population that donate, you have less people having the resource negative. Also among the recipients, the demand is not as high. But what we do in Luth is we also have a registry of some of our voluntary donors that we call the rare blood groups. Yeah. And these are donors, voluntary donors that we call upon in terms of emergencies when we don't have the negative blood in storage. So we can call upon those people and they will respond, and then we can provide blood for those patients who have the red blood groups.
Right, so lastly, are there benefits to people who donate? What are these benefits? You're losing blood.
Yeah. Okay, maybe I'll start by saying that we have enough to give. Usually when we donate, we're giving about a tenth of what we have. It's like a tithe, if you might say. And we all have about 5 liters of blood, and we're taking usually about 450 mils, which is 1/10 of what we have. But studies have shown that donating blood has several benefits. One of them is that we have found that it has been discovered that those who donate have less risk of having cardiovascular risk, like hypertension and other heart diseases. And they've also found that those who donate regularly, the word is donating regularly, are also at less risk of having cancers. Then we have the psychological benefit, the fact that you know that you have donated blood and that unit of blood could have saved 3 lives. Really, for some people, is enough psychological comfort for them knowing that they have impacted lives. Studies are even showing that it helps people who are depressed, maybe knowing the fact that you have been helpful to someone. Then another advantage is that those who donate tend to have their own blood stores, their active marrows tend to be active for longer. I mean, when I explain that, I tell people that when we take chicken, we see the yellow part and the red part, and the red part is the active part of the bone marrow. Those who donate blood regularly tend to have the active marrow for a longer duration than those who do not donate blood. So indeed, donating blood has health benefits, has psychological benefits, and sometimes because of the test that will perform on donors, some people just get to know that probably you come to donate and you didn't know your blood pressure and it's a donation that you know. So you get to know your health status, sort of, free of charge. That is like icing on the cake. But the major thing is that it contributes to the well-being of the donor itself, both physically and psychologically. So I will advise every Nigerian to be a regular blood donor.
Right, starting from us. Thank you so much, Dr. Anne Owena, for your time today on Network Africa.
Okay, nice to be here.
Mali, special representatives of the Secretary General for Mali, El Gassim Wayne, says while the challenges in Mali are numerous and complex, they are far from being insurmountable. Briefing the Security Council, he adds that the security situation in Mali remains volatile and is of particular concern along the tri-border area and in the center. He, however, honored the memory of all the peacekeepers who have lost their lives since the inception of the mission.
The security situation in Mali remains volatile and is of particular concern along the tri-border area and in the center. Here, I would like to honor the memory of all the peacekeepers who have lost their lives since the inception of the mission. Their ultimate sacrifice illustrates the challenges and complexities we face and further underscores the need to ensure that the mission has the requisite capabilities, including armed and utility helicopters. While there has been undeniable improvement in some areas and a concomitant weakening of the extremist group, the latter continues still to conduct frequent attacks against Malian and municipal forces as well as civilian populations suspected of collaborating with the Malian forces. While the challenges in Mali are numerous and complex, they are far from being insurmountable. If anything, the Malian people, as demonstrated during the Assise Nationale de la Refondation, harbor a deep aspiration for reform, transparent governance, and accountability. These aspirations and the forces driving them, including civil society, have shown great resilience and deserve the full support of the international community.
To the situation in the Democratic Republic of Congo, officials in the DRC have accused the Rwandan army of invading its territory after allegedly helping rebels take over Bunagana, a border town in North Kivu province. The Congolese M23 rebels took over the town on Monday after forcing some government soldiers to flee to neighboring Uganda. The strategic town is vital to cross-border trade between DR Congo and Uganda. In a statement, North Kivu provincial authorities said that the Rwandan army decided to violate the integrity of their territory. They called the capture of the town an invasion of the DRC and added that the army will defend the nation. Rwanda has repeatedly called the crisis in eastern DR Congo an internal affair and denied supporting M23 rebels. Meanwhile, its army has not commented on the fall of Bunagana. The Togolese government has declared a state of security emergency in its northern border region. The government spokesperson says the measure will last for 3 months and could be extended by the National Assembly. It allows security forces there to have more flexibility to deal with threats of jihadist attacks. The move follows last month's attack in a northern town near the border with Burkina Faso, in which 8 Togolese were killed and others were wounded. Togolese troops are deployed in the north to try to contain the jihadist threat, pushing south from Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, where militants linked to Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State group operate. Over in the Horn of Africa, armed men entered parts of Major city in western Ethiopia and engaged in fighting for 4 hours. Earlier, residents in Gambela city, the capital of the region of the same name, said offices and buses were closed due to the intensified fighting. The regional government says its security forces have regained control of parts of the city from fighters belonging to the Oromo Liberation Army and the Gambela Liberation Front. A statement added that there have been casualties on both sides without providing numbers. According to residents, some of the fighting was around the regional president's office. Fighting has also been reported in towns in the neighboring region of Oromia. The United Nations World Food Programme says due to a shortage of funding, it's having to suspend some food aid in South Sudan, where more than half the population is grappling with severe food insecurity. The crisis has been fueled by conflict, flooding, drought, and soaring food prices exacerbated by the crisis in Ukraine. The WFP says among those affected by the cuts will be close to 200,000 children who will no longer receive daily school meals. It describes these as a crucial safety net that helps keep South Sudanese children in school. The WFP is appealing for more than $400 million. And back here in Nigeria, some Nigerians have been calling on youths and other eligible persons to take advantage of the ongoing voter registration exercise, as well as play active roles leading to the poll. They were speaking during a colloquium to mark the 2022 Democracy Day, where the Lagos State Resident Electoral Commissioner promised to conduct credible, free and fair elections in the state. Our correspondent, Timothy Crown Adirubebe, reports.
Has been evaporated in the course of the
having a conversation towards enhancing the electoral process by everyone involved is the crux of this gathering on the instance of the group Justice, Development and Peace Center, the social arm of the Catholic Church.
Good friend of
The convergence, which aims to celebrate the 2022 Democracy Day, drives conversation around prebendal politics, challenges of national consensus. The theme seeks to dissect elections as a galvanizing force for social transformation.
Immediately after the NSAS, the protest that some of us were part of physically, Father Gabriel was also there, and all of that, and the consequent mayhem that followed, and how the things have moved. Some of us were beginning to lose hope for a better Nigeria. But somehow, between 2020, 21, and now entering 2022, I'm sure you will agree with me that there seems to be light coming from somewhere. Are willing and ready in time.
On the panel of discussion are men and women of thought, among them the Lagos State Resident Electoral Commissioner.
I'm assuring you, I as a regional member, if I am doing something wrong, please escalate it. Any of my staff, the EOs in the 20 local government areas, or any of the assistants, or any of my heads of departments in the office, doing something wrong, please call me.
Anywhere you are, where justice and equity does not rule, is already a land at war. The war might not have broken out, but it will eventually break out.
The different panelists addressed several areas of the nation's national life, economy, politics, as well as youth development.
The Nigerian economy is on the wrong trajectory. The Nigerian economy is heading towards the cliff. It has even approached the cliff edge. I am passionately appealing to our young people that you have a role to play in the emergence of a new Nigeria.
The conversation continues on the impact of the new electoral law on the 2023 general elections, as well as how to change the orientation of some Nigerian youth from voting apathy. Timothy Crown, Aderibube, Channels Television News.
Finally on the program, Cumulus, a Franco-Tunisian water tech startup, is designing a machine which transforms air into water. The company is hoping to help find solutions to drinking water shortages in Tunisia and beyond.
Water scarcity and the depletion of underground water are increasing due to climate change. To tackle this, a Tunisian startup takes up the challenge by inventing a machine that provides solutions to the problem of water scarcity. The first Cumulus One machine was set up in an elementary school in the remote town of El Bayada, near the Algerian border, that lacks proper access to drinking water. The machine has been set up in the school, but the startup is still waiting for approval from the government before starting to use it. The cost of setting up the first machine in El Bayada school was covered by Orange Telecommunication Company.
This machine is called Cumulus. Its goal is to make drinkable water from solar energy and air. The concept is to replicate the phenomenon of morning dew.
Tricky hopes that the startup will develop and provide not only Tunisia, but the wider region with solutions to producing water in times of water scarcity.
There are two things that the Cumulus machine can find solutions for. The first is access to drinking water. Secondly is to reduce the use of plastic water bottles and also to reduce the process of transporting bottled water. When we provide water to the consumer, there will be no need for plastic water bottles. The water will be available near them.
According to the startup's website, the Cumulus One machine, which they call an atmospheric water generator, can produce between 20 and 30 liters of drinking water per day. According to World Bank data, 21% of Tunisians, 20% of Moroccans, and 28% of Algerians did not have access to safely managed drinking water in 2020.
What an invention indeed. Well, that's it on Network Africa. Thank you for watching. I'm Joker Rogers.